outside his mind, in the three-walled asylum that owns all his time. He had such plans once, dreams of freedom, a pen and a notebook, and stories to feed them. Made a nightlife inside of a bottle. He travels his phone apps in search of a song. Companions come easy, but they never feed him. He's starving to death in the midst of them all. How are we going to? Are we going to? Are we going to die this way? Are we going to? Are we going to? Are we going to die? Mama, this way. 'Cause I'd rather die than to see you in pain. We're trapped in the flames. Pack thy secrets deep, where no one can see them. Pack thy secrets deep and hold them close. His doorstep, she's tear-stained and windswept. She's only come home 'cause there's nowhere left to go. Her black eyes match the shade of her drag marks, the ones hidden between her fingers and toes. She says, I swear that I'll stay clean. Our daughters, they need me. I just need a place I can stay for a while. 1 week later, she's curled up in the corner. She's screaming, crying, bleeding, and the needles on the floor. Are you going to? Are you going to? Are you going to die this way? Are you going to? Are you going to? Are you going to die? Mama, this way. 'Cause I'd rather die than see you in such pain. We're trapped in the flames. But I'll pack my secrets deep, where no one can see them. I'll pack my secrets deep and hold them close. I'll pack thy secrets deep, where no can see them. Pack thy secrets deep and hold them close. So I'll drink, I'll get fucked, I'll press everyone's luck. I want nothing but hatred off me. There's an ocean of rage and it's stuck in my veins, and I can't seem to fight my way free. Oh, I've held it together for the sake of our daughters, but my strength is now failing me. So won't you please hand me you please hand me a drink? Won't you please hand me my drink? So this song is called Pack Thy Secrets Deep, and that refers to the concept of packing and unpacking in association with post-traumatic stress disorder. When a person witnesses traumatic events, when trauma happens to a person and they don't have the luxury or ability to process it properly at that time, what happens is they'll take whatever emotions are associated or whatever horrors are going on, and they contain them within their body without dealing with them so that they can continue to move on and do whatever needs to be done. It is why PTSD is so common in soldiers returning from the battlefield, because all this stuff happens, there's an explosion or whatever happens, gunshots, people are injured, people are dying, people are dead all around them. But those events, if your friend dies next to you, that's a lot to process. That's a huge amount of emotions and thought processes that you need to go through to even process that. However, if there's bullets flying around you, if it's still going on, if you need to rescue your other friends, if other people are hurt, if you're hurt, you don't have the time, you don't have the luxury to process it then. So you slam it all down inside you, it's contained within you, and you move on doing whatever it is that you need to do at that time. That is how trauma gets encased into the body, because when you experience it, if you don't have the ability to process it right then, because you've got to keep doing whatever needs to be done, it's not that you were able to ignore it. In that moment you can move past it, but it's still there, a part of you. Those things don't leave you. And so when you don't get to process them at the appropriate time, which is immediately, it gets stuck inside of you. And so later it can bubble up at inopportune times. That's where triggers come from. A trigger is something that suddenly slices open one of those boxes that you've packed together of your emotions. And so now suddenly you're flooded with all these emotions that are actually from that specific traumatic moment, but you're getting flooded with it now and people don't know what the fuck's going on. All those appropriate emotions, the physical way it affects your body, those things need to happen to you, but you didn't have time to do it then. And then when it bubbles out later, if you're just in the middle of day-to-day life and something happens that triggers you, and now suddenly you're having that battlefield reaction, you have to slam it down again. And it's this repeating process of never actually feeling and processing the things that you need to. And so it's not solely on the battlefield that this happens. I was ashamed for a long time of having PTSD because I've never been on a battlefield, and I associated that purely with warfare. And so I needed to educate myself a little bit too before I was able to even deal with the things that were going on. In my specific instance, I had 2 kids and a mortgage and all these things. So when everything happened, I didn't have time or space to deal with it either. My wife's in the hospital. She's just tried to kill herself. That's something that I need to process, but I got to go get the kids to school. They have to feel safe and secure. They need to not worry about their mom. And then, she leaves rehab or something and runs off. I have to go continue my job. My job was a very difficult job. I got to go lock that in, do my day-to-day. Got to pay that mortgage. I didn't have time to process. Having children means that you're not going to get to process those things for a long time, because it's not fair to have them witness that. It's not fair to have them witness their father melting down, especially when they've just lost their mom. So it is similar, very, very different than a battlefield, but that concept is the same.
these traumatic things happen. There's all these emotions that you need to process, and you can't. You don't have that luxury then and there. So you slam it down into your body, and you move on with your day-to-day, and you get shit done. You get things handled. But those things stay with you. So that process of not dealing with emotions, of not dealing with the appropriate reaction to trauma is called packing. And so in therapy, one of the things that they teach you is the concept of unpacking. So that means in a safer space, you're not in the middle of a battlefield, or you're not, driving your child to school. In a safer place, you cut open those boxes yourself. Instead of waiting to get triggered and freaking out and nobody knows what the fuck's going on, you do it yourself. You pull it open. So for me, that has been short story writing, songwriting. These are how I cut my own emotions open so that I can feel them, because you need to feel the things that you feel. If you don't, you're gonna be out there and you're gonna lose control at some point, because those things do not go away. They will never go away. Trauma is something that's so severe that it's sunk into you. It is alive inside of you. You're like a time capsule of whatever happened. Whatever happened is still alive and well within your body, because it didn't get to exist at the time. And so it's just this perfect little time capsule. You can get trapped in your memories. If you don't feel your emotions, they're going to kill you one day. When my wife first tried to kill herself, we took her to the hospital, and she was out of it for a while. Had an opioid overdose. When she woke up, and I was waiting there at the bedside, and she looked at me, and she was tired, but she was a little upset. And she said, "You shouldn't have brought me here. I'm not going to live. You can't stop me every time. If you don't let me go here, I'm just going to make it worse and worse and worse." And then she went back to bed. I was a husband, I was a father, and I was the strong person in the family. I was the head of the household. It was my responsibility and my mind to keep my family whole, to keep my wife happy and alive, to keep my children happy and with a mother. This was a responsibility that I felt was mine, as I was the strongest and most capable to keep it together. To be told in no uncertain terms that this is not going to happen, that this person will depart and not be with us, it wasn't something that I felt I could allow. Now that probably sounds very silly to you, but you have to have the context of how it is that I grew up. When I first moved to California in 4th grade, it would have been about 92. I was integrating into the neighborhood with the neighborhood kids, and I was kind of a know-it-all nerd, and that doesn't always sit well with people. And when we were leaving, someone came and shoved me off my bike. It just tipped me right over. And so I got up, and then some of them surrounded me, and they're pushing me, and it wasn't too bad. Like, they weren't like kicking the crap out of me or anything, but just not letting me up. And I'm getting up, and I'm trying to, I don't know, use kung fu that I didn't know. It just wasn't. I ended up having to run away. I couldn't take them. I was attacked, and I couldn't defend myself. So I had to run. I had to run home. And that didn't sit well with me. I wasn't someone that I pictured, even at that age. I read a lot of like fantasy horror books and stuff like that. And in my mind, I should never run away. In my mind, I should be stronger than everybody. And so I decided to be. So I asked my parents to get me some weights and all this stuff, and I trained my ass off. By the time 6th, 7th grade rolled around, I was a strong little motherfucker, a little LeBron James out there. And yeah, nobody beat me up for like a decade. I didn't lose a fight till 2002. I felt that I needed to become strong, and so I became strong, exceptionally strong. And that's always how I've done things. When I started high school, my freshman year, they're like voting class officers, and I wanted to be a class officer. And so they started with the top all the way down. So I was like, I'm running for president. Didn't get it. Vice president, didn't get it. I don't even remember what all of them are. Treasurer, didn't get it. Sergeant at arms, didn't get it. Class pastor, didn't get anything. I ran for every single thing and got trounced in every category. I ended up not being an officer. And that didn't sit well with me either. And so one of my good friends, she was checking to see like, are you okay? Because you just lost over and over and over and over again in an embarrassing fashion. And my response was one of displeasure. I said, this isn't okay with me. I'm going to be class president next year, and I'm going to be class president the year after that, and I'm going to be class president senior year too. I'm going to be class president the next 3 years, because I will not allow this to happen. I will not allow myself to be just defeated in this way. That sounds silly, but I came back, put in a lot of work in working the people of the class and stuff like that. And I was president sophomore year, president junior year, and through heavy ass competition, as everybody wanted those scholarships to come with it, I was president senior year. I'm not an extroverted person. I'm not a popular person. That was through hard work, personality studies, and I don't know, I was a strange kid. But I said I was going to do something, and so I did it. That same freshman year, I went to try out for the basketball team because I had become a basketball player. And during tryouts, I had blocked one of the juniors because that's what I do. I block shots, and he was really embarrassed, kind of, and unhappy. And he cornered me in the locker later and berated me with some of his friends about how it was a joke that I was there. I was never going to make the team. I wasn't good enough to be trying out that year, and I would never be good enough to be on that basketball team. And so that didn't sit well with me. And so I told him and his friends, I was like, I will make the team. By the end of my time here, I'm going to be the starting point guard. And in fact, I'm going to be the fucking captain of this team. And like I said, by that time I was strong. Those juniors didn't want to fuck with me either. So no one ever pressed me too hard in the realms of physicality. But I made those things happen too. I did become those things. I've always believed that I was strong enough for anything. If I wasn't, I would become it. If I wasn't talented at something I wanted to be talented, fine. Put in work, become talented. If I'm too weak to fight the other boys, fine. Put in work, become stronger. If I'm not smart enough to do whatever, fine. Put in the work, read the books, become smarter. Failure never seemed something that was going to happen if I chose to not make it happen. This is the mode of who I am, of who I was. Ultimate faith that you are equal to anything the world can throw at you. I was wrong. When my wife left rehab and chose, instead of coming home, to go move in with the guy that she started heroin with and just become a junkie, that was That was the first big failure for me. I failed her because, it wasn't actually a life that she wanted. I failed my kids because they no longer had a mom. These things weighed heavy on me. She wasn't there, and because I believed myself equal to any task, I felt like I should have been able to figure out a way to make it all work out. But after being gone for maybe 7 or 8 months, I got a phone call that she wanted to put her life back together and come back home and all of these things. And I didn't want her to interact with the kids yet because I didn't want to give them I didn't want to re-traumatize them every time she decided that she was going to leave. If she was going to leave, I wanted it to be once. So I didn't tell them that she was coming back. At that point, they were staying with 2 different sets of grandparents, so I had her come back to the house. So no one knew she was there, to see if she was actually capable of being clean and mentally well. So yeah, she came back, and the first thing that I remember about her being back was we took a shower together. Because the thing about us that I always thought was quirky back when we were together was that we were the exact same height. Top of the head to top of the head, eyebrow to eyebrow, nose to nose, lip to lip. We were perfectly aligned physically. It's just something I always took note of because it was just interesting. And so, when you take a shower and you're facing each other, it's just something that you grow accustomed to. And so we get in the shower and I just feel weird. I feel way out of sorts and kind of gigantic, and I'm trying to figure out what is happening, and I realize that she comes up to my nose. She was way shorter, and of course she was tiny too. She was already a very thin person when she was healthy, so instead of being 5'7", 110 or whatever, she's 5'4", 85 or something. It's just, I felt grotesque, I'm towering over her, and she looks so tiny and fragile, and her hair was falling out. I don't know why that particular thing stays with me. But it was horrifying. It was a strange nightmare. And I just felt so massive and inept, and so it didn't go well. She wasn't able to maintain being clean, and so she left again. And getting occasional phone calls from hospitals and such things. We have this person here. They've overdosed. They're still alive. What do we do? That was pretty common. But in the meantime, I've still got to be a solid, stable, happy father to my children and portray some type of normalcy and safety And I'm at work all day, every day, doing this fucking stupid job of crunching numbers and navigating bankruptcy law and a bunch of fucking laws that fight each other and don't make sense. And anyway, when I be at work, I listen to KPCC all day, every day, trying to get some education while I'm there, wading away through bullshit. And sometimes stories would come on, and BBC did a story about opioid overdoses and heroin overdoses. And so when that type of story would come on, I guess that's what's called a trigger. And so I'd be at my desk, and then it comes back even just to talk about it. I'd be at my desk, and I'd freeze, and I couldn't breathe, and I'd be stuck. And I'd be crying, but I don't make any noise when I cry, or very little at least. And sometimes I'd be stuck for like that for like 20 minutes. And it wasn't just news stories and things like that. Sometimes memories would just come upon you, being in the hospital, or being in the shower, or 100 other different memories that I didn't just tell you about. And you start to get stuck and get lost. And in those moments, you really do lose track of time. You forget where you are in time. Like these different memories, and even the future somehow. I don't even know how to explain that. It's around you in a circle, and you're choosing, I'm going to jump into this time period, and I see this. And then I have to get out of that. I try to get back to the present, but I shift over here and I'm somewhere else. And the whole time, you can't breathe, and you're crying, and you're losing time. But you're trying to slam it back together. It's way harder than it should be. You're trying to slam it back together because you still have work to do. You're fucking losing your mind in the middle of a workplace, and you can't. You got shit to do. I had fucking deadline after deadline after deadline. Shit piled up. So that was my reality for years. These stupid attacks. I don't remember why I'm telling you this. That's right, I'm talking about this song. So, in the song, I talk about being stuck at work. Let's see, I can't remember what it says now. He sells all his daylight, he rents out his mind in a 3-walled asylum that owns all his time. He had such plans, wants dreams of freedom, a pen and a notebook and stories to feed them. Yeah, I mean, I used to be a songwriter, you know? I used to be a singer. I'd travel around and sing songs, get in a car and drive and stop somewhere and sing songs, and that was everything I wanted out of existence. And then all these things happen, and I'm stuck in this office, and I'm dying. I'm doing the stupidest shit. I can't do anything about it. I've got a mortgage, I've got children. So I put some spreadsheets together. But yeah, so the cracks start to go through, these stories, these emotions are stuck inside of you. They fight their way to find out, so you end up like super drunk at night or on the weekend, going around finding women, finding whatever you can to get you fucked up enough to feel something. I like, that's like the biggest misconception. I hear so many people talk about, like, oh, I'm drinking to forget my problems. My body contained all my problems. I'd forgotten them. They're not like here in the peripheral. I'd have to drink just to bring them out. I'd have to drink to remember how to feel anything. I don't have emotions in my day-to-day life. So yeah, I mean, so yeah, you get fucked up and you try to feel something. During these time periods, I engaged in a lot of dangerous behaviors, purposely, I'm sure. So I was always aware that I was probably going to get killed one day. That's part of it. Courting danger. So that's what, it goes into the song, like, are we going to die this way? And my thought was yes. In those moments that I could get fucked up enough to realize what it was that I felt and what it was that I wanted to not be there. That's what I wanted. Being alive hurt a lot. It was very tiring. But those are the things that you can't admit to yourself when you're sober and you've got shit to do. So, in the second verse, he talks about the second time that she comes home. And this is like a couple of years later. She still managed to survive various overdoses on the lifestyle. And so she comes home, and he doesn't expect to see her. It's a surprise. It's not a relationship thing at this point. He's moved on in that regard. But she doesn't have any place to go at this point. And she's been clean for a few weeks. And she, tells him that she wants to reset. She wants to figure out how to be available as a mother and all that. And I have room. That has 4-bedroom house that I'm hardly ever in, or was hardly ever in at the time. Yeah, so she could stay, and you can stay. But you have to actually do these things that you're supposed to be doing. So she stayed, and I left, because I stayed in LA half the time at that point anyways. And a few days later, I came back after work one day just to check in, see how things were going. And when I walk up to the door, I just hear wailing. It's not like a normal sound. I mean, it's not crying, it's like wailing, like, at the gates biblical wailing. And so I go inside, and she's just sprawled out on the floor, just destroyed, just so fucked up. On multiple things, on heroin for one. There was no alcohol left in the house, so on a shitload of alcohol as well. And she's just incoherent. And she grabs onto me, and it's just, she's like, why don't you love me anymore? Why don't you want me anymore? I'm still pretty. God damn it, I'm still pretty. And I don't know what to do with with this situation. And so I go into my room and close the door and lock it to try to sort myself for a minute. And then she starts trying to like kick in the door, and she's incoherent. I mean, she's calling me like not even by my name, yelling some other name like fuck you, I hate you. What's that fucker's name? Pete. Fuck you, Pete. I hate you. You did this to me, Pete. I'm in there, I'm like, I'm not Pete. This isn't Pete. And then there's some silence out there, so I go to look, and now she's got a kitchen knife, and she's going to cut herself. So I tell her to stop. And she starts, coming at me. And I mean, she's fucked up. She's not a knife fighter, for God's sake. So she's slashing and just all over the place. And so I wait. And then one of the slashes come by. So I move forward and I grab her hand and yank it this way and hold it. Hit her backwards while maintaining control of the knife. And so it works. She lets go, but she's stumbling back, and she runs into the wall, and there's guitars and stuff hanging on the wall, and a bass guitar comes loose off its wall hanging and falls down, and the head gives her a little crack in the head as it falls. And she's so fucked up that she doesn't realize what's happened, and she thinks that she's been struck. She thinks that I've hit her, and the animal panic that like flashes into her eyes. She just starts saying no, 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 and she falls down and she scrambles backwards into the corner, and she's still saying no, 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 and I'm walking towards her to try to calm her, and she rolls into like a fetal position where she's covered up, and she's warding off kicks that aren't coming. She's screaming, she's crying, she's yelling, no, stop, stop, stop. And, a lot of things became clear in that moment, and one of them was that she had been kicked like a stray dog in the street fairly often. Her movements were practiced. Her defense was practical. It's just a lot to deal with when you realize somebody's been kicking the shit out of your wife. Even when she's not your wife at that point. So someone that you love and care about, and they're just getting beaten down like that. And even though it's not your responsibility, you feel like you should have been there and made that not happen. I guess they call that survivor's guilt. When you lose the people around you, but you're still there. You feel like you could have done something more to maybe stop bad things from happening. So you walk around with it. You walk around with a lot of guilt. I walked around with a lot of guilt. It's hard to leave behind. When you feel that you're equal to any task, when you feel that you're strong enough to handle any situation, when you feel that your love is enough to lift people out of whatever darkness they fall into, and then you lose them anyway. It's a pretty hard failure to take. But this song addresses some of these secrets. Pack thy secrets deep where no one can see. And the song is saying that, while at the same time the process of the song existing and being sung is doing the exact opposite. It's a song called Pack Thy Secrets Deep, and it's about unpacking and not having any secrets.
Sells all his daylight, he rents out his mind in the three-walled asylum that owns all his time. He had such plans once, dreams of freedom, a pen and a notebook, and stories to feed them. Made a nightlife inside of a bottle. He travels his phone apps in search of a song. Companions come easy, but they never feed him. He's starving to death in the midst of them all. How are we going to? Are we going to? Are we going to die this way? Are we going to? Are we going to? Are we going to die? Momma, this way. 'Cause I'd rather die than to see you in pain. We're trapped in the flames. Pack thy secrets deep where no one can see them. Pack thy secrets deep and hold them close. His doorstep, she's tear-stained and windswept. She's only come home 'cause there's nowhere left to go. Her black eyes match the shade of her drag marks, the ones hidden between her fingers and toes. She says, I swear that I'll stay clean. Our daughters, they need me. I just need a place I can stay for a while. 1 week later, she's curled up in the corner. She's screaming, crying, bleeding, and the needle's on the floor. Are you going to? Are you going to? Are you going to die this way? Are you going to? Are you going to? Are you going to die? die than see you in such pain. We're trapped in the flames. But I'll pack my secrets deep where no one can see them. I'll pack my secrets deep and hold them close. I'll pack thy secrets deep where no can see them. Pack thy secrets deep and hold them close. So I'll drink, I'll get fucked, I'll press everyone's luck. I want nothing but hatred off me. There's an ocean of rage and it's stuck in my veins, and I can't seem to fight my way free. Oh, I've held it together for the sake of our daughters, but my strength is now failing me. So won't you please hand me a drink? So won't you please hand me a drink?